Welcome to the AggroCast. Currently recording in my car after just going to the grand opening of Horror Vibes Coffee here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's a lot cooler in here than it was outside. So, especially with the long line we had to stand in to get inside, there's a lot of people here for this.
It was great to see them have that kind of opening, even though they've been open for 2 weeks now, to have the grand opening and have everybody outside waiting. I enjoyed what I ordered. I had an apple pie chai type thing. It was awesome.
Yeah, I can't remember how and it was it's based on the movie XXX or whatever, or X in Maxine. But it was a pina colada lemonade. It was delicious.
With Taijin?
With Taijin around the inside. And then got to talk about the donut.
Oh, and then, of course, they had donuts that were decorated. We're recording this on Friday the 13th, so they were like the hockey mask for Jason. And ours were Oreo stuffed cream. They had some Fruity Pebbles, but evidently they had gone through those fairly quickly.
Yeah. It was a weird thing going with the Oreo filling. I would have expected some kind of like cherry or strawberry like jam type of filling that they have the blood oozing out, but
that would have been cool.
Yeah. It was still tasty.
And then we met an artist that was there who does all of their murals, Phil Borg.
You're doing better than I would do.
Yeah. So we will probably toss up some images and do a little write-up on the opening and also his Instagram. But he was super cool. He's like a traveling artist, does tattoo work, on the road, and has done all of the artwork for the two different locations. If you've ever seen the artwork, well, you'll probably see some images as we toss them up. Super cool, super fun, a lot of horror vibe mixed in with some whimsy. But right now he's doing kind of a eras of horror. So like the 1930s and 40s, 50s and 60s, all the way up to current day. And that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, and he's doing that kind of as a timeline in the building here in Vegas. And he had a couple images up to show all that stuff. But yeah, he mentioned doing that all the way down to like where the bathrooms were, where they had the twin girls from The Shining, all the way back up to where the coffee's at itself.
And he mentioned that he has a hand in how they started up. So I don't know if he's a part owner or what, but super cool guy. Enjoyed our conversation with him. Enjoyed all of the folks working at this location. They were all fun and friendly. And forward to coming down here more often, maybe even doing a recording there in the coffee house.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because it had a great vibe, but it was definitely packed and busy, so there was no way we were going to be able to record inside.
So yeah, it's been a while since we've done the AggroCast, and a lot of stuff has been going on. We've done a few special editions. It's really been like a year or so.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get this thing back on the rails. I got married, been going to school, and then just a lot of stuff going on. But we've also been staying busy. David's been super active on the website. Always recommend checking out AggroGamer.com for all of your video game and pop culture news information, because we're always going to different events. We're putting up an article today about the Universal Fan Fest. Juliet and I went out to that for one of our anniversary celebrations, and that was super fun.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to read all that and see all the pictures you guys got from that. And sad I got to miss out on it, but it still looked like it was a whole lot of fun.
But Universal, if you want to send us out there as press for FanFest 2026, we would be more than willing to do that and jump on that bullet.
So you're thinking all the way out there. I'm also looking at to go back on the theme of the horror thing, we have the Universal Horror Unleashed opening up here in August.
Yes.
So if they want to do that one as well, we could,
Hey, we will cover that. We will gladly cover that for you. We are horror fans and enthusiasts, and we've been talking about this for a while now. Universal, if you're listening, hit us up. We also went to Necrogoblicon was in town, so we got to see them.
Yeah.
And I got a new favorite band out of that, Ex Mortis.
Ex Mortis, yeah.
They were awesome.
Not only as a band, they're just really cool guys. They were all working their merch booth afterwards.
I got to meet the lead singer, and he was super cool. They got songs based off of Lord of the Rings. One of the T-shirts I picked up, Oathbreaker, is one of their songs. And it's based off of the Oathbreakers in Lord of the Rings, the ones that Aragorn recruits this last year, running around trying to do stuff. And we're getting ready for San Diego Comic-Con. You just went to an IGN event.
Yeah, so the Summer Games Fest and the IGN Live and all that stuff, pretty much what's taken over from E3. They've had all those events where they're showing off all the new video games and trailers. and IGN invited me out for their fan fest, which is quite literally what that was. Is it really wasn't they really weren't showing off much there that we hadn't seen already. There was stuff for Claire Obscura and Killing Floor 3, so it was like not brand new games. They did have Alan Tudyk was out there promoting Resident Alien. The guys from the voice actors for Rick and Morty were out there talking about the new season. But it was definitely more of a fan festival than it was IGN trying to push more of the E3 type of vibe, even though that's also what it felt like they were trying to do. Because it was at the convention space just down the road from where E3 was, during the time when E3 would normally be happening.
So an E3 tie-in, but also kind of shades of what to possibly expect at Comic-Con this year?
Kind of, yeah. That's kind of how it felt. Like it felt like it was a solid Comic-Con offsite, where it's like you can go in, have a vibe, check a few things out, and kind of move right along.
Well, thanks IGN for getting David out there to check that out.
Yeah, it was definitely a blast.
So Comic-Con is coming up. I'm super stoked about that.
Yeah.
Any ideas what we might see out there in terms of IPs for offsites or?
As of right now, it's mostly just rumors. But if you just look at the timing of certain things, Twisted Metal, the new season drops right after Comic-Con, so I'm expecting like they did last season, we'll probably see something out there for that. I know Marvel said they're not showing up with anything massive for Hall H or anything, and not doing another filming, which is weird because Fantastic Four drops on the Friday of Comic-Con, so it feels like a missed opportunity.
I wonder if that's tied in with what happened with the Deadpool and Wolverine, the debacle that happened last year.
Yeah.
Which, from what we were told, wasn't really San Diego Comic-Con's fault. There was some miscommunication with whoever was running that event in Hall H.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of conversations about how people who had been standing in line all day to get into that thing they had started the event before they got everybody into the hall.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was super frustrating.
And not to mention, there was people still waiting outside with their wristband while the movie was starting.
Yeah.
So I was like, they had the panel, they had all that stuff, and then still people were guaranteed a spot, were left out. So I get it. But it's weird. But I know, so they might do something for Fantastic Four. They might not. Who knows? I know there's a bunch of other they might do something for the Horrors Unleashed, because that'll be opening up shortly after. Thinking about other IPs that might be going down. Maybe something for the new Fallout, because the new Fallout season's coming.
That would be cool.
They'll probably do something for The Last of Us to get people back on track with that.
Yeah, I fell off of that. We were talking about that in line. As they killed Joel, spoilers if you haven't been watching, oh no, I just lost interest. I just can't get with it.
I get that. Like I said before, it's kind of the vibe everybody who played the game got as well, even when it wasn't Pedro Pascal. So
when is Megan 2.0 coming out?
Megan 2.0 I think comes out in a couple of weeks. So I don't know if they'll do anything for that, but I mean, Blumhouse will probably be out there pushing so many things. I mean, they just, I think, bought the Saw franchise. And I know there was supposed to be a new Saw movie this year, so they might do something for that.
House of the Dragons new season will be coming out,
yeah.
And they've got that offshoot of the Dunk and Egg Hedge Knight series that they're doing.
Yeah, so they might have something out there for the Game of Thrones thing. I'm kind of hopeful that they might do something for Severance. I loved the thing they did the first time, and then season 2, just as amazing. And I know they're working on season 3 now, so.
And then Telemuska is an offshoot of the Dark Universe Anne Rice Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah.
That's the research arm that's tracking all the vampires and supernaturals. Maybe they'll do something, because that Interview with the Vampire one that year was awesome.
That was really, really cool.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see as we start rolling towards Comic-Con what information starts hitting the news.
Yeah.
And the press releases.
Well, I guess one of the other ones we could probably look forward to, now that I think about it, wearing the hat, The Boys and Gen V. Because Gen V has a new season coming out as well. And I know they went hard every year with something at Comic-Con for that IP. So.
Well, and they had that tragedy that happened with one of the actors. Yeah. So I wonder how they're going to recover from that.
So you can actually, watching the trailer, they show how they're recovering from it. I know the cast is still recovering from the loss of a friend, but I think they are writing it into where he sacrificed himself somehow, and the father is taking over the same role.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because that's the vibe I got from the trailer.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden the father's perfectly fine and healthy again.
So yeah, things to look forward to with Comic-Con. Comic-Con, man, this year trying to get into the hotel block was insane.
Yes, it was a nightmare.
As press, trying to just stay near the convention center is so damn hard to get through all of the lottery process. Why?
Well, this has been the same process it's been for like the last decade. At the same time, like I think even this year, it's like every year it's been getting harder and harder. I want to say it was like the first year you got to go, we got to stay relatively close to the convention center, and then it's been like even this year we're a mile away, and so we've been progressively getting further and further away. And even this time we didn't even get it in the lottery pool. We just randomly hopped on when they did the open sales.
Yeah. Well, and we've got quite a few folks under the AggroGamer banner who are trying to get into everything to get rooms, and it was still like pulling teeth to get what we got.
Yeah.
Crazy. So if you're listening, San Diego Comic-Con, we love you so much. We would love a fourth pass so we can get the rest of our press team in, and maybe look at getting some room block set aside for the press people.
Like actual registered press, so that you don't have to worry about people trying to snake their way in using the back alleys or whatever.
Because we are legitimately there to cover the event and tell people how awesome it is and why they don't really want to miss, while understanding that the lottery is a hell of a thing and trying to get passes can be extremely difficult. We want people to get that opportunity to see what it's like, to feel like they're there, and we can't do it if we can't even get into a room block.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to drive 5 hours every morning to head out there just to stay home.
Yeah, we love Vegas, but damn, that's a hell of a commute.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully things will get better, at least for next year.
That is the hope, that we do a little bit better each time.
And so, like with AggroCast, we're getting this back off the ground. We've talked about possibly doing more YouTube.
More than just gameplay, you know.
Yeah. So that way you guys you're stuck seeing our faces.
Sorry.
Unless you want us in masks, leave a comment down below.
I got a couple good masks.
Oh yeah, I got some masks from some awesome creators. I could toss one on, and we could do the masked.
We can do the Slipknot Guar thing.
That would be great. We might have to do an episode for Halloween for that.
I'm down. Let's do this.
Yeah, so this is just kind of a catch-up Comic-Con life update as to what's going on,
as well as to help promote the Horror Vibe coffee.
Yeah, we are unofficially, not officially sponsored by Horror Vibe Coffee. Horror Vibe Coffee, if you happen to hear about this, please consider sponsoring us. Our demands are so few. Maybe just a cup of coffee and let us do a recording in the back.
Nothing too crazy.
We're not looking for hundreds of dollars or anything crazy. Just a little nod and some good Java.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is fun, actually, getting out of the studio, getting into the wild, being able to record. There's some horror movies coming out. Mm-hmm. Anything that you're excited to see?
Well, I know there's a new Frankenstein movie I'm really excited to see.
Yeah. Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. There's a new Evil Dead in the works, but they haven't really announced much of that.
I'll swallow your soul.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm ready for that. I wish they would do a movie production of the musical, just so I could have that at home and watch it over and over. But
that would be awesome.
At the same time, I only got 2 more before I hit the magic number 100 of seeing that show. So
is it still touring?
Currently, not that I know of. But once it does, I will travel outside the country again if I need to. Yeah,
you are certainly a fan, a diehard fan. Also a fan of Psycho Stick. If you happen to hear about this, just know David always talks about his love for you, and maybe one day we can talk to you guys about an intro theme song.
That'd be amazing. But they're busy doing the new Toxic Crusader album, so
yeah, I'm still on the fence about that movie. I'm confused about. I don't know if I'm going to be afraid of Peter Dinklage's Toxic.
I mean, there's only going to be one way to find. I mean, he did give a good Tyrion.
Hey, he drank and knew things.
Exactly.
And he was the best part of Game of Thrones for me. But Toxie, I just remember as a kid watching the Toxic Avenger and how beefy he was in that tutu. Yeah. And I'm not sure. Like, muscles, there's just a mop. Like, I'm not here to criticize anybody's height. This isn't a Snow White episode. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I will reserve.
I will always say Heath Ledger is the Joker. Everybody gave those criticisms, and he knocked it out of the park. So I'm willing to give all the benefit of the doubt.
Heath Ledger, I cried the day he died. I had been a fan of his for a long time, and then he passed. Man, what a performance!
Exactly. That's why I'm always willing to give any actor who's playing a role that most people can't imagine, give them a chance.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. So I'm sure we will cover Toxic Avenger at some point after it's come out.
Yeah. Playing Toxic Crusader, because that's the video game that Psycho Stick is doing to bring it all the way back.
Yeah. So, all right. talking about video games.
Okay.
You have been keeping on track with video game stuff. What has been going on in the world of video games? Anything outstanding or really interesting?
So as of right now, a lot of the obviously the big one everybody's talking about is Clair Obscura. It's a small French developer that nobody wanted to give a chance to, and they're on the verge of talks of Game of the Year right now. And it's just a kind of like a Final Fantasy turn-based game. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I've heard amazing things about that. I've been diving a lot into a lot of the weird indie games recently. Finding Frankie, which is a weird parkour Five Nights at Freddy's type game. There's the new Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic that just dropped today. Revenge of the Savage Planet, which is a weird Ratchet and Clank thing, kind of also with Rick and Morty type humor. Copycat, the non-sci-fi version of the game Stray.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I've been diving into a lot of that kind of stuff. But I also know Gears of War, the new Gears of War is coming out to PlayStation, which is a huge thing. It's first time ever. What else was there? Oh, the Directive 8020. So the next in the Dark Pictures anthology, which is the video. It's like you're playing a video game that's also a horror movie, and they're adding a lot of stuff in from one of my favorite horror games from last year was the casting of Frank Stone.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. They're adding in all of the fun stuff, like the cool game mechanics they had on that, on top of because they mixed in some stuff from Dead by Daylight into that game. So
that's pretty awesome.
I'm looking forward to all that stuff. Still waiting to hear if there's going to be the actual nod to a new God of War game, hopefully. I know there's people losing their mind over the new Call of Duty, the new Game of Thrones RTS that's coming up.
Yeah, I saw, and what I thought was really interesting, there are some YouTubers that I watch that do TV and movie reviews that were doing reviews of that game. So I don't know if they're shelling out money or if it's just because there's a tie-in to Game of Thrones where you can essentially rewrite the ending of the show. Mm. But it's everywhere now, like all of the advertisements and talking about it.
Yeah, they're pushing it hard. Because I know there was the mobile game they had, so I don't know if that just wasn't doing well. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. It's also, I think, a small Australian developer who's doing it too. So I think I want to say this is the year of the small independent developer. Because almost every massive game people are hyped for, we're talking teams of between 1 to 50 at most.
Wow.
So I'm trying to remember the name of the game. There's one I just recently checked out. It's a Gore Doctor, kind of a Outlast survive a serial killer type game. I think it was a team of 6 that made that game, and it's nothing not like Game of the Year, but it's still amazing that such a small team did something that also kind of feels like it could be hit with the heavy hitters.
Well, and we were talking about how virtual reality games had taken a back seat.
Yeah.
Recently, there's been more of a push.
Yeah, because they have the new VR Deadpool game coming out. And I get emails all the time about random VR games. They're like, I thought this took a back seat, but I don't know if it's because the Apple Vision tanked. So they're just trying to push the Meta harder and the Steam VR and all that stuff harder.
Well, and Meta is allegedly changing up some of how they're going to be doing stuff with VR. So so I feel like what happened was a lot of these companies shifted gears from VR to AI, and now that AI is kind of settled down from the Wild West mentality initially had, maybe they're turning their gaze back on those investments that they had made into VR. So hopefully we'll get some pretty cool titles. And I know there's some VR experiences here in Vegas.
Yeah, I actually got an email from them yesterday, so you might be checking that out over at the MGM, the Zero Latency. I've done some of their stuff in the past, and it's a blast. And that's a warehouse scale VR.
Yeah. The only video game stuff that I've been doing, and don't judge me, I went back to Baldur's Gate 3 because I still have not finished it. And so I every time I stop, I have to restart to remember how to play the game again. And so I have just gotten to Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3. So I am pushing towards the end of the game. And since I'm on summer break, I should be able to finish it up, at least my first run. I know people are like, I've beat that game 12 times. I'm like, that's just because you want to romance all of the companions.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not here to judge anyone. You do you. Karlach is best.
Is that the bear?
No, that's Halsin. Halsin, the giant elf druid who will turn into a bear and love you with all of his berry might.
Yes, yeah. That's where it gets a little weird. And,
yeah, Halsin turns into a bear. There's Asterion that everybody loves because it's the vampire gothy guy. And then Karlach is just a cinnamon roll of a barbarian who wants to love you and hasn't been able to be touched by anyone for a long time because of her Infernal engine. Yeah, it's a great game. There's a reason it won all of those awards. I've just been dragging my ass on trying to finish it.
You're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it, and I think there's also part of me that's like, okay, once I've done, like, I'll be sad, and maybe that's why I haven't finished it. But I'm going to finish it so that way I can say I have, and it's going to be one of the first games I've finished in a very long time. So, but then in tabletop news, there has been a lot of stuff going on. Critical Role released their tabletop game, Daggerheart, which everybody has been raving about. It's interesting. There's a lot of stuff in the Daggerheart game that I have seen through my myriad of experience in LARPs and tabletop games. And so I'm like, a lot of these elements I've seen, but I haven't picked it up. We don't get free copies. We're not that important. But I might pick it up just so I can kind of read through it and get it. The only thing that's weird, and I have played games like Savage Worlds that have card elements. Torg is the same way. Daggerheart uses cards. And I think the cards are your character abilities. So it's really interesting having a card element tied into an RPG. I'm here for it. I'm willing to give it a try. Other than that,
Speaking of cards, though, you still into Lorcana?
No. So we moved in, we bought a house and had to move in December. By the time we got done moving, they had released 2 more sets. And then I saw something about how they were releasing tournament rules for play. And I'm like, the reason I got into this was because it wasn't Magic the Gathering. I played Magic back in the day when there were Type 1 and Type 2 tournaments. I played Type 2, but I couldn't keep affording to buy new cards. So if Lorcana is moving in that direction where they're limiting certain cards or how decks are constructed, I'm just not into it. I liked the whole Disney aspect, and I was all about the broom decks because I thought that was super fun. But we haven't played in months. We've thought about taking all of our cards and selling them to a local game store just to get some store credit to put towards other things.
Yeah.
Although I did see Magic the Gathering does have a style of gameplay that I've considered, and it's called Pauper, and play with common cards. Your decks are nothing but common cards.
Okay.
I was like, okay, depending upon how they limit whatever sets or whatever, that could be interesting. And they just released a Final Fantasy set. So
yeah, I saw the
was
Final Fantasy one.
Final Fantasy! I know Ike was really big in Magic for a while because of the art, but then they did some goofy cash grab stuff, and they started doing like Warhammer 40K and Doctor Who and D&D, and so he lost interest when they started putting out all of these novelty sets. Yeah, Pauper. I don't know. Maybe somebody is willing to teach me, and we can sit down and play Pauper and see how that works out. But yeah, so tabletop RPGs, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of the creative team of Wizards of the Coast that did D&D, like Perkins, are gone. They've moved on to other things, so it's going to be interesting to see who the new design team is after the release of the 2024 Player's Handbook, DMG, and Monster Manual, which I've been playing around with some of the 2024 rules. I like the designs of the book. I know that there are some folks that have already found ways to break the system, but of course that's the way with pretty much any game,
yeah.
So I'm not gonna give it a hard time for that, because every time a new system comes out, there's always going to be, where can you find those opportunities? Like I was telling you in line, Juliet found a way to use a diviner wizard with the rewrite of the sleep spell that was really kind of interesting. Too bad she tried it on some elves. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on still in the TTRPG space.
Yeah,
and then of course in the card game space, I think, what was that? There's a new, there's an IP that just released.
I know. I heard about Gwent from The Witcher. They just released their card games in pre-order right now.
Yeah, there was that one, and there's one other, and I don't remember. I'll have to think on it. So yeah, there's stuff going on there, but I also have fallen into wrestling. Last year, I got Juliet involved into wrestling, which she had been a fan when she was younger. So getting back into it, I've had to kind of explain some things. But she loves Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy time! And we have enjoyed a lot of the new wrestlers they have brought in, like Penta, and Chad Gable has been doing some fun, interesting things with his heel turn, and there's this new mysterious luchador, El Grande Americano, the finest of coffees. He's a luchador, an American luchador, which there's some stuff there that's a little questionable. Like, I almost bought his T-shirt, but on the bottom it says "comes from the Gulf of America," and I was like, I don't know if I want to go there. If you're a wrestling fan, you understand, but if you're tied to politics, I'm sure you understand.
Yeah, you understand it differently.
Yeah, but we had WrestleMania here in Las Vegas, and they're having it again next year.
Yep, almost like the exact same days, like the 18th and 19th of April.
Yeah, originally it was scheduled for New Orleans, but unfortunately that kind of fell through. And so you want to double your money, or they're doing some kind of playoff of, dropping the double deuce. Or
Yeah.
The problem has been getting into the event because it's so expensive.
Yes.
I would love to I've never been to a live wrestling event other than like what we did,
we did
on Fremont.
Yeah, the WoW thing, yeah.
And then we've talked about the little person wrestling.
Midget wrestling.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
That's not us. That's what they call it. We've talked about checking out that show down off the strip.
Yeah.
I would love to go to an event, but then I also look at, they occasionally do this pan down from the rafters of these big stadiums where they're holding the events, and the ring looks like a postage stamp.
Yeah, if you're up in the nosebleeds, yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? But I can sit at home and hit pause and go get another Diet Coke. I don't know. I'm sure that there's something cool about the experience, but I've also heard like horror stories of like tickets down on the floor being 40 grand, shit like that. I'm like, holy cow. I know wrestling has caught a new resurgence, but damn, some of those ticket prices are just insane. And then you look, and every time I watch an event, I see some of the same people every event. I'm like, how do you afford this? Either you know somebody that works for TKO or WWE, or you're independently wealthy, and that's what you're spending.
And that is what you chose your life to do, is I'm going to go to every show.
I won the lottery. I get 60 grand a month, and I'm going to wrestling shows. Every wrestling show.
Every major wrestling show. I'm there.
I'm like, you know what? You do you, boo. That's awesome. I would just like to go maybe once.
Yeah. Hook us up with a free ticket if you're independently wealthy.
Yeah, if you're independently wealthy, or if you're somehow WWE listening. Remember us? We were Cody stans. We're Penta stans. So many wrestlers that I am just in love with. Stephanie Vaquer. Oh. She is amazing. The angel of death, or I don't even remember what her tagline is, but even like, okay, Logan Paul. People don't like him. That dude is freaking athletic. He's teamed up with Cena right now because Cena's on his farewell tour and he did his heel turn. But Logan Paul, you know what? That dude, not only does he have the physicality, but he is just super fucking talented. And he's a great heel. And he really lives it up. I'm like, dude, you're awesome. You know how this game plays. So
you know how to ham it up for the camera.
Yeah, I might not be a Logan Paul fan of like his podcasts and all of that, but as a wrestler, I have to hand it to him 100%. So I went down the rabbit hole of wrestling. Not big into AEW. I know our buddy Frank Hartgrave was AEW, and now Frank's moved on to being like a commentator on the indie scene.
Oh, nice.
Which is super awesome. Every once in a while, I see something that's been posted. He's doing videos and interviews. I'm like, Frank, you just kick ass, buddy. You're doing awesome. This has been a hell of a catch up.
It has been,
really covered a lot of topics.
Yeah, we've gone over everything and kind of given a little sneak peek into other things we'll probably be talking about in future episodes.
Yeah, and remember, we will be there for coverage of San Diego Comic-Con because we love San Diego Comic-Con. We want them to love us as well.
Yes. Same thing with Universal.
Yeah, and Universal, Wrestling, WWE, Horror Vibes Coffee.
The list goes on.
The list goes on.
Just re-listen to the whole podcast again so you can hear it all.
And we're going to tag the shit out of this. So hopefully, maybe they'll catch wind of somebody will catch wind of this.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. But it was great catching up, David.
Likewise.
I look forward to next week. We can figure out what the hell we're going to talk about.
Dude, we both got Weird Al coming up.
Oh.
I have that tonight, and I think you have it tomorrow night?
No, not tomorrow. It's like next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
But either way, we still have it. We can both talk about that if we need to.
Puddles Pity Party.
Yes.
I saw Puddles twice in Denver. Puddles is awesome. The guy's like 7 foot tall with the voice of an angel.
Yes.
A rock angel. But yeah, so that'll be great to talk about Weird Al.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do this.
All right. Well, thank you again for listening. This has been the AggroCast, the official podcast of AggroGamer. I'm Ray.
I'm David.
and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to the AggroCast Resurrected, the official podcast of AggroGamer. For more gaming news and reviews, please check us out at AggroGamer.com. If you enjoyed today's content, follow and subscribe to get notifications of our next episodes.
Downstairs is junk.
Exactly. It burns so good.